to see those who are back from being ill and sick and maybe traveling as well. Glad you are back. Hope you're happy to be here. We're going to have such a great time tonight. This is going to be so good, this study tonight. I just feel it. So we're in the book of James, and we are going to talk about one more verse in chapter 1. That's verse number 27, and then we're going to do a little review, everybody's favorite, right? Everybody loves to review and loves our wonderful books here. So let's do that, shall we? Now, 26 and 27 kind of it all kind of goes together. 26 and 27 go together, and so we need to read really both of them together. James gives us three things. Basically says, if you think you have religion, well, then put it up to the test. And he's going to give three things here in these verses. I think he gives a fourth one in chapter number 2 as well. But he's given at least three tests here. So he says in verse 26, if anyone among you thinks he is religious and does not, here's test number 1, bridle his tongue, but deceives his own heart, this one's religion is useless or vain. So if you think you are of a religious person, or you think you have a good stance before the world in your ethical, moral living, but if you don't bridle your tongue, you don't know how to control your speech, then you really don't. Whatever you have, your type of religion is vain. And then the second one, he says, pure and undefiled religion before God and the Father is this: 1, to visit orphans and widows in their trouble or their distress. And then 2, to keep oneself unspotted from the world. Okay. Now, we shouldn't think that James is trying to give us this exhaustive, complete definition of religion, right? And so this is not all that what religion would entail, these two things in verse 27. But what he's doing is reminding us that if you think you have a religion that is, is pleasing before God, then it's going to involve these two things right here, at least these two things. In verse 27, the caring of widows and orphans is not something that's new. This goes all the way back to Old Testament. We can go all the way back to the book of Exodus, chapter number 22. It says, you shall not afflict any widow or fatherless child. Boom, and that's where it starts. And so from then on, it's mentioned quite a lot in the scriptures about how God has I don't want to say a soft spot, but this is kind of what it is. How we would describe someone having an affection for someone. But he's got a soft spot for widows and the fatherless. You see this in Deuteronomy. We read a little bit of this in Isaiah as well, somewhere in those 39 chapters that we covered, actually in chapter number 1. And God has always expected his people to imitate him when it comes to these two particular groups of people, widows and orphans, those who are without parents. And Psalm 68. In verse 5, listen to Psalm 68, verse 5. A father of the fatherless, a defender of widows, is God in his holy habitation. So the psalmist says, here's a couple of things about God. He's a father of the fatherless, and he's a defender of widows. And so James is telling us here, and in many other verses, to say we are too. We're supposed to be too. We're supposed to imitate God in this thing. Psalm 146:9, if you're taking notes, which some of you are, Psalm 146:9 kind of says the same thing. Now, this is a question that is posed in our little book here, which I was reading, I was trying to fill out, and I see we'll go ahead and try to ask it really right now. What do y'all think? What does visit orphans and visit widows mean? What all does that entail, do you think? Okay, that's exactly what it is. So when he says to go visit orphans and widows, he's not just saying, hey, give them a 10-minute flyby or a 5-minute flyby at their house and just say, see you later kind of thing. This is, of course, they didn't have phones back then, but a lot of times, we'd just rather call someone than go see them probably. But the definition of visit is this right here. It's to look at observantly, to inspect, to visit for the purpose of comfort and relief. And what Brother Gary said was to supply their needs. And so that's exactly right. It's basically what Jake is saying, when you visit someone who fall under one of these two categories, you're inspecting, you're looking for a need. And then when you discover a need that they have, you seek to take care of that need or fulfill that need, supply that need. That's what it means. It's not just like, hi, having a good day today? Great. See you later. It's a little more involved than that, right? Does that make sense? Especially in the first century, these two groups were likely on the poorer side, and these two groups were likely not really cared for by a lot of other people, and so they had needs that the church could definitely take care of. Nowadays, there might be some widows who are just like so well off, and they, they're rich, and husband may have left them a lot of money or something, or they have everything they need. Still, they would need some I would think some companionship. And the church could definitely supply that. And so, it's a little different than today. Usually, you're not going to have a rich widow back then. And if they're truly a widow, and maybe, let's say in the Old Testament, Naomi was a widow. Not only had her husband died, but her boys had died. And so really, there's no men in the family to take care of her. So she was definitely a widow in need. And I would imagine that she's a good template for a lot of widows in the first century. Any questions about that? So the third test that we read of a true religion is to keep oneself unspotted from the world. Now, that's more of a general test, I guess. This means, could y'all tell someone what that means? What does it mean to be unspotted from the world?
Well, a good reputation.
Have a good reputation.
You have to live in the world, but you don't have to do the things the world does.
Okay, you live in the world, but you're not involved in all the things the worldly things that people do. Sinful things is what we mean by that, right?
Not influenced.
What's that?
Not influenced by the world.
Yeah, you're not influenced by the world. Yeah. So that has a lot to do with, keeping yourself clean and pure and separated, holy, unstained. That's the idea there. And so all of these are involved from 26 to 27, these three things. All of these are involved in being doers of the word. And that goes back up to number 22, verse number 22. And be doers of the word, not hearers only, deceiving yourself. Yeah, so part of how we would be doers of the word is watch our speech, look for those who are in need, and keep unspotted, unstained from the world. Be different, be set apart, be holy. When you go back into the Gospels, you read about what Jesus started. Hey, here's the way a Christian life should start out. Love in your heart. And he starts off with the greatest commandment, right? Love the Lord your God. It's Mark 12:30. Love the Lord your God with all your heart. And obviously that's where your Christian life should start from the heart, so to speak, right? With love. James kind of is saying, all right, James taking it a step further. James wouldn't deny what Jesus said, of course, but he's going to say, hey, now that love needs to start doing something. That love for the Lord your God and loving your neighbor as yourself, that love has got to start manifesting itself in your Christian behavior. So he takes it one step further, right? And that makes sense, right? I can walk around all day and say I love you, and I can say I love the Lord and my God with all my heart, but then if that never manifests in my actions, in the things that I would do, then what kind of it's almost like James said, it's a vain religion. That would be a vain kind of love. And it's just all talk and no action kind of thing. Of course, we're all familiar with those kind of phrases. Yes, sir.
Second part of chapter 4, verse 4. Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world, making himself an enemy of God. So it's
Pretty clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just don't try to blend in. You try to stand out.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And really, if you didn't hear David saying we need to try to, he mentioned James 4:4. I think 1 John 2:15 would go along well with that as 2. And he's saying we got to blend in. We don't have to, we got to stand out, not blend in. Really? I don't think we understand how easy it is for us to do that, to stand out. If we will just, it doesn't take much, I don't believe, to stand out in the world today. Increasingly, it gets a little easier for people to spot who actually is a believer in God, number one, and then maybe who is actually a faithful person who actually cares and who knows a little bit about the Bible and who cares about Christ truly. And all it takes, I think, is one simple conversation with somebody. You can feel a whole lot, even if you just met them, about who they are and whether they're really trying to blend in the world or whether they're trying to stand out from the world. Should be easy for us to do, but sometimes we make it hard on ourselves. Go ahead.
Just being ourselves as a Christian, we are not aware of the perspective. That's not the right word we're looking for. How we stand out in our workplace. You don't realize who's watching you, but somebody's always watching you and how you behave. You don't have to walk around and say, I'm a Christian.
No, you don't have to wear the t-shirt.
You just, it's amazing. People come and say, I notice you just different from everybody else. And I think, I'm not aware of that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you don't have to walk around with a banner like you just said. It's the way you behave. I've had people say, I noticed you said the blessing before you ate.
Yeah, that's one easy way to stand out in public is pray for your meals. Because
I had one guy pay for my meal. He said, I saw you saying the blessing, it just moved, and I just want to buy your meal. I think you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying.
I've never done that myself, but when I see someone, I know what he felt. Because when I see other couples or other families praying out in public, it immediately tells me something about them. I don't care. I'm not worried about whether they obey the gospel or not, but I can tell, well, they believe in something that the world doesn't believe in, and it immediately tells me something about them. Yep. It makes me want to buy their meal. It really does. I just haven't done that yet, but.
Me and Kate were eating at Poblano's here a while back, and he said, I'll say the blessing. And he said the blessing, and he just, because he's alive and told his hands, he just prayed, and it was beautiful.
Yeah.
People were looking at him.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Keeping it.
Little man setting a good example for all of us.
27, where it says, keeping himself unspotted. I can remember one of the preachers that used to preach here, Ed Floyd, whenever he would go visit, he would call me and ask me to go with him because he wanted to keep his character unspotted. Also, he wanted someone there just for the sake of something getting started or something being said that was, wasn't true because, I was with him and I'd say there was other members that he had called on to go with him to visit, especially widows, ladies in the congregation, until his boys got old enough to where they would go with him.
Mm-hmm.
I remember a lot of times he'd give me a call, what are you doing? Let's go visit, and it didn't dawn on me then what I enjoyed it, but it didn't dawn on me then, that there's always that one person that might say something or think something, and to just totally get rid of that thought he had someone with him to keep him unspotted, to keep his character Christ-like.
He's a witness.
Sure,
as a
yeah.
witness,
Yeah. Wise practice, I guess.
yeah.
Anybody else? Thought I saw someone. Okay, well, thanks for that. Y'all ready to get into the questions? Everybody ready? We're gonna find out. Now, let me ask y'all, y'all like how we're doing the questions? Like, I just call it out and y'all just randomly shout it? Or would y'all rather go person by person like y'all used to do? What do y'all think? Okay, just do it like this? Okay. I was just checking.
I like person to person, but myself, but then I know there's sometimes that
Yeah.
People don't want to do it.
Well, whoever's loudest is
they're
gonna
not,
be the,
yeah, they're not ready or
do it
they
that way.
Okay.
haven't run with something. I don't like being the same one that answers every question.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. Okay. Number one, here we go. There was a lot of questions I thought this time too. Well, there's a lot in chapter 1, I guess. All right, number 1, the book of James is not written to an individual nor to a church, but to the 12 tribes which were scattered abroad. Still talking about Christians though, right? Yeah, okay. All right, number 2, although it is uncertain which James wrote this book, we do know that he was what? He's a bondservant of God and the Lord Jesus Christ. That's just straight out of verse number 1, right? Yeah. What great virtue, number 3, may come from the trying of your faith? Patience. All right, number 4, according to this chapter, what could make the saints entire, wanting nothing? Okay, letting patience have her perfect work, right? Is that pretty much what sums it up? Everybody got it? Number 5, what unusual attitude is set forth in this chapter regarding diverse temptations? Yeah, okay, so it's counted all joy. Joy itself is not unusual, right? Maybe for some of us. But it's not. But in many kind of trials and temptations, I guess it would be, right? So that's why. Make sense? Number 6. When is every man tempted?
Verse 14.
All right, verse 14. He's drawn away by his own lust or desires and enticed. Number 7. Sin is the product of what? Lust. And death is the finished product of what? Sin. To whom, number 8, to whom has the Lord promised a crown of life? Okay, the one who endures temptation. Verse 12. What power does the engrafted word have? All right. It's salvation, pretty much. Verse 21. Number 10. What things, so I guess there's 2 of them, must one do to be blessed in his deeds? Okay, we got a doer of the word. Okay, continue in the law, right? What's that? Number 11. In what manner must the engrafted word be received? Meekness. And what does meekness mean? Okay, humility, humbleness. All right, then it says, what additional point could be given from Acts 2:41? What does Acts 2:41 say? They gladly received their word. So what did y'all get? Because there's two answers I got for it. So what additional point could be given? So obviously, we not only James says receive it with meekness, and then Luke is writing that they received it gladly, right? So I guess we would put that on top of meekness. Happily receiving the word. Like it's something we should want to do and be happy that we're doing it. And this is great. This is the good news that we've heard it. But then what else does 41 say? Those who gladly received his word did what? Okay, what? They're baptized. Yeah. So maybe we could also add that this receiving the word leads to action, leads to obedience, maybe? Maybe we could put that as well? Okay. Y'all agree with that? As I scan the audience, everyone is saying yes. Almost can't see. I think I need glasses.
Willard needs to send us an answer sheet.
Willard needs to send an answer sheet?
Yeah.
Nah.
Or Chuck needs to request an answer sheet.
This was done in 1963. I'm not so sure Willard is
Well,
still walking around.
who's still printing the books?
Okay. Oh, a thought question. Here we go.
Oh, boy.
Number 12. From information given in this chapter, and I gotta tell you, I wasn't sure if he's talking about James 1 or Acts 2 from the last question, but we'll see how y'all answered it. From information given in this chapter, tell when, bold letters, the engrafted word saves. When does the engrafted word save?
When we lay aside all superfluity, naughtiness, filthiness, naughtiness, and receive with meekness.
When it's received with meekness, you would say?
Well,
Okay.
when we lay aside filthiness, superfluity, I even had to look that word up, of
Yeah,
naughtiness
that's a lot.
and receive with meekness.
You have to obey.
Okay.
It's received and acted on.
Received with meekness, acted on, you said obey. What did y'all say? Something? All right, yeah. Well, I mean, if he's talking about giving information from information given in this chapter, Acts 2, then that would have to be obedience to baptism, right? Because that's the point where you get remission of sins, as Acts 2:38 teaches, anyways. Anybody have anything different? Did anybody put like born again? It's when you're born again, that's when the engrafted word saves? When you're brought forth? Verse 18 of James 1. Well, would that be right? Does the engrafted word say when you were brought forth? Yeah. I got a couple yeses. Yeah, that's being born again, right? Y'all. So what happens when you're born again? Like, describe that process to me. What does born again mean?
Baptized when you preach.
Okay, when
You're raised up out of the water.
okay. So you would say the water in John 3:5 it says you gotta be born of water and the Spirit. You'd say that's baptism. Yeah, and that's when you're born again. Because you obeyed, you've received with meekness, you gladly received with meekness the word. This is making sense to everybody? Right on. All right. Number 13, brethren should be what?
Hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath.
Okay, swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. That's verse 19. Number 14, what is the plight of a double-minded man?
Unstable in all his ways.
Verse 8.
All right, unstable in all his ways, verse 8. 15, thought question, yay, just what is a double-minded man? That's how you gotta say it.
Two-faced.
And his eyes.
Wait, I heard two-faced. I think that's pretty close to it, yeah. What?
Hypocrite.
A hypocrite? Okay, it could be. I would say so.
Christian on
Saying one thing and doing another.
Christian on Sunday.
Sunday only Christian. I would say so. A lukewarm Christian. What's that word? What's that word that phrase that we said double-minded means? Yeah, wishy-washy. Yeah, that one too. Indecisive, I'd say probably also as well. And that indecisiveness would come probably from not trusting, not fully trusting and doubting. So you're going to be indecisive there. Yeah. Remember I was saying two-spirited? Remember that? That's kind of two-faced, sort of. Yeah, so this double-minded man, he's praying, but he's not trusting in prayer. So, everything that y'all described. It's that. Okay, after reading 1 John 2 and verse 15, tell how one can keep himself unspotted from the world.
Amen.
Okay. So basically, you love God and not love the things in the world. That's how you keep yourself unspotted, right? All right, then a thought question there. What's meant by visiting the fatherless and widows in their affliction?
Practicing benevolence.
Yeah, helping them in their needs.
Treat others as you wish to be treated.
Yes. Golden rule applies there. All right, 17. Name and define two kinds of religion mentioned in this chapter.
Pure religion, man's religion.
Vain and pure, or useless? Yeah, useless or vain. Pure and undefiled, which go together. I guess that makes it one, right? Anybody get anything different? Anybody find any other ones in there somewhere in the chapter? Another type of religion? Anybody? Number 18. Who is it that need not expect to receive anything of the Lord?
Verse 6.
The ones who waver in their faith? Yeah. The one who doubts in this prayer, that's the double-minded man, right? That's verses 6, 7, and 8. Okay. Everybody, we're good? We're still good? What is said of the wrath of man, number 19? Does not produce the righteousness of God, verse number 20. All right, number 20 on the bottom of page 2. Who is it that shall pass away as the flower of the grass or the field? Okay, the rich man made low. 21, top of the other page. To what is the wavering man compared?
Verse 6.
A wave of the sea, driven and tossed by the wind. So James does a pretty good job at giving us pictures to understand, to put with all of his teachings. All right, 22. For what did James say to ask and it would be given? Wisdom. 23. With God, who is called the Father of what? Lights. There is no what? Variableness or variation. And what verse is that?
17.
Verse 17. Okay, let's see. I'm going to start on the right side here and read off. And then y'all just tell me the number. Or you can say the number or the word that corresponds with the number. All right, so what'd you put for deceivers of themselves?
10.
Okay, 10. Hearers only, right? Hearers only deceive themselves. All right, well, what do y'all have for sin?
5.
Okay, 5, lust. Maybe somebody got something else? I mean, some of these could go with, remember it says that it corresponds to them. So a lot of these could be more than one answer, but we're just sticking with one. So 5, Lust goes with that. All right, able to save souls, what number?
Engrafted word.
7, the engrafted word. All right, next one, like grass that fades away.
Rich.
All right, the rich. How about vain religion?
An unbridled tongue.
Okay, number 9, unbridled tongue. Like a wave of the sea.
2, double-minded man.
Number 2, double-minded man. Next one, leads to completeness, perfection. What?
4,
3. Oh, you put 4?
prayer. Yeah.
Who's got? Okay, I got 3 and 4. I mean, yeah, I think it's looking for 3.
Yep.
Although we can make 4 fit. We can make the. All right, the next one is death. All right, 6 is sin. Sin leads to death. Verse 15, and then faith
3.
is 3. Well, I think most people got 4, but we can make 3. We can make 3 fit there as well.
See, we need that answer sheet.
No, we don't need no answer sheet. Look, let him ask in faith. Let him ask in faith. That's prayer, right? Verse number 6. Let him pray in faith. That could really say. And so I would see that.
But the trying of your faith gives you patience.
Oh, the trying of your faith gives you patience. How about that?
See?
But, well, okay.
Thank you, Belinda.
It fits. Yeah, I'm saying it fits. But then you gotta make everything else fit just as good. So it's the best answer. Just not the only answer, but the best. Yeah, the best answer that fits. All right. So 6, 4, and then the last one is the one we haven't done yet, which is number 8. Forgetful man, the look with the looking glass. That's verses 23 and 24. Okay. True or false? Number 1, when James wrote this epistle, the 12 tribes were scattered abroad. That's true. Verse number 1. Number 2, true or false? The wavering man is highly praised by James. False.
If it would have said highly talked about by James, that
Yeah.
would have been true, but.
Highly rebuked by James.
Oh, yeah.
We would say true. All right. I remember when I was in school, we had true or false. We had to change the false to make it true. Does y'all ever have to do that? Is that a thing? Good thing we don't have to do that here, but we could. I guess that's supposed to make you think. Let the teacher know you know what y'all know. All right. Number 3. The Son is mentioned in this chapter to show that God blesses the just and the unjust alike with it. False. Anybody get true? Nobody who wants to admit it got true. Okay. Oh, there we go. Somebody put true. So,
Okay, so what verse is the Son mentioned in?
verse 11.
Okay, yep, you're right.
Doesn't mention it for that reason.
For that reason, yeah.
I mean, I think that comes out of Matthew, 5 or 6.
Oh, for the just, or reigns on the just and the unjust?
I think that's right. But I can see how it could be true, though, and why y'all would put true, so don't worry, it's okay. I'll tell you why. Because God blessing the just and the unjust is showing God's impartiality. And when you read verse 11, he's saying that the sun causes all the grass to die. It's like there's no grass that the sun doesn't cause to fade out and wilt or whatever. The flower falls, well, all the flowers do. Which ones? All of them. So in a sense that everyone's going to die and the rich man's just going to fade away in his pursuit. So and there's some impartiality there. You see how we're connected? I mean, that's what I was thinking for it to be true. I don't know what you were thinking, but so anyways,
I guess because 11 doesn't really give a good and a bad, that's why I would have thought.
yeah, okay, yeah. It just kind of says, hey, here's how it
Yeah,
goes.
this is how it is,
And then the blessing, we think positive
yeah.
things. Yep, yeah. That's probably why we all put false. Most of us. But I can see how that could be true. All right. Number 4, in this chapter, James mentions, now watch it closely.
Yeah.
Watch it closely now. The sun, the wind, the sea, the grass, the flower, and the wave. True or false? Who got true? Who got false? Who wants to admit it? Okay, that's, yeah, I got true too. Number 5, the rich man is compared to the flower of the grass which soon fades away. True, verse 10. Number 6, true or false? The phrases, the word of truth and the engrafted word are both used in this chapter.
Verse 18 and 21.
Okay, verse 18, 21, that's true. Number 7, the bridle James mentioned is for a horse.
I had to look that one up, but it's, the spelling's difference.
Anybody get true? Let the record show that Doug.
The bridle, the way it's spelled, is spelled the bridle for a horse.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's a comparison in that regard. I didn't put either, I didn't put question mark. But it is a comparison, because the bridle in the horse's mouth leads it, you're leading it to know where it's gonna go.
Yeah,
so you
yeah.
can guide it.
Yeah, but in a figure, this bridle is for what?
For us to control our tongue.
For the tongue. Yeah, I think that's what it's asking. So to fix that, it would be, as mentioned, is for the tongue. Okay, number 8. To be blessed in his deeds, one must look into the perfect law of liberty and continue in it. That's true, 25. Number 9, those who endure temptations will receive a crown of life. True, verse 12. Number 10, the forgetful hearer is compared to a man who looks at himself in a glass but soon forgets what manner of man he is. Everybody got true for that one? Anybody get false? We got one false.
Forgetful man?
It says the forgetful hearer.
Yeah.
What?
It's a hearer of the word and not a doer. He is the man observing.
Yeah.
Is that the same as the forgetful hearer?
Probably. Yeah, I would say so. Say it is. I mean, if it said the hearer only, I guess that would be a more accurate, as compared to man looks himself and soon forgets.
That kind of has always bothered me, because some people, when they look in the mirror, they really don't see the truth. They don't see who they really are. A lot of times they see who they think they are. Does
Okay.
that make sense?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I'm not sure if James is going as deep as you just went there. I don't think, because on the inside you're talking about
Yeah,
who you really are.
yeah.
I think he's just talking just straight, just what the man sees,
Is my
what someone
makeup
sees in the
straight? Is
mirror.
my hair combed? They're looking at the superficial.
Yeah, I tend to think that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, but that's not important if you're,
Well, he's making he's comparing a person who just doesn't give doesn't give a second thought to what they see in the mirror, to the person who looks into the Word of God and doesn't give it a second thought. Okay. Guess what we'll do next time we meet? We will do chapter number 2, so. Oh, be prepared. Oh, be prepared. Because chapter 2 is pretty good. Okay.